The mist, half fog, half spray, scudding before the wind, and through it I could see the white-backed rollers lifting over Peveril Point, while all on the cliff face the sea-birds thronged the ledges, and sat huddled in snowy lines, knowing the mischief that was brewing in the elements. It was a melancholy scene, and bred melancholy in my heart, and about sundown the wind southed a point or two, setting the sea more against the cliff, so that the spray began to fly even over my ledge and drove me back into the cave. The night came on much sooner than usual, and before long I was lying on my straw bed in perfect darkness. The wind had gone still more to south, and was screaming through the opening of the cave. The caverns down below bellowed and rumbled. Every now and then a giant roller struck the rocks such a blow as to make the cave tremble, and in a second later there would fall, splattering on the ledge outside, the heavy spray that had been lifted by the impact. I have said that I was melancholy, but worse followed, for I grew timid and fearful of the wild night and the loneliness and the darkness. And all sorts of evil tales came to my mind, and I thought much of baleful heathen gods that St. Aldhelm had banished to these underground cellars, and of the mandrive who leapt on people in the dark and strangled them. And then fancy played another trick on me, and I seemed to see a man lying on the cave floor, with a drawn white face upturned, and a red hole in the forehead, and at last could bear the dark no longer, but got up with my lame leg, and groped round till I found a candle, for we had but 2 or 3 in store. 'Twas only with much ado I got it lit and set up in the corner of the cave, and then I sat down close by, trying to screen it with my coat. But do what I would, the wind came gusting round the corner, blowing the flame to one side, and making the candle gutter as another candle guttered on that black day at the Why Not? And so thought whisked round, till I saw Maskew's face, wearing a look of evil triumph when the pin fell at the auction, and again his face grew deadly pale, and there was the bullet mark on his brow. Surely there were evil spirits in this place to lead my thoughts so much astray. And then there came to my mind that locket on my neck, which men had once hung round Blackbeard's to scare evil spirits from his tomb. If it could frighten them from him, might it not rout them now, and make them fly from me? And with that thought I took the parchment out, and opening it before the flickering light, although I knew all, word for word, conned it over again, and read it out aloud. It was a relief to hear a human voice, even though 'twas nothing but my own, and I took to shouting the words, having much ado even so to make them heard for the raging of the storm. The days of our age are 80 years and 10, and though men be so strong that they come to 80 years, yet it is their strength then but labour and sorrow. So soon passeth it away, and we are gone. And as for me, my feet were almost— At the almost I stopped, being brought up suddenly with a fierce beat of blood through my veins, and a jump fit to burst them, for I had heard a scuffling noise in the passage that led to the cave, as if someone had stumbled against a loose stone in the dark. I did not know then, but have learnt since, that when there is a loud noise, such as the roaring of a cascade, the churning of a mill, or as here, the rage and bluster of a storm, if there arise some different sound, even though it be as slight as the whistle of a bird, 'twill strike the ear clear above the general din. And so it was this night, for I caught that stumbling tread even when the gale blew loudest, and sat motionless and breathless in my eagerness of listening. And then the gale lulled an instant, and I heard the slow beat of footsteps as of one groping his way down the passage in the dark. I knew it was not Elzevir, for first he could not be back from Poole for many hours yet, and second, he always whistled in a certain way to show 'twas he coming, and gave besides a password. Yet if not Elzevir, who could it be? I blew out the light, for I did not want to guide the aim of some unknown marksman shooting at me from the dark. And then I thought of that gaunt strangler that sprang on marble workers in the gloom. Yet it could not be the mandrive, for surely he would know his own passages better than to stumble in them in the dark. It was more likely to be one of the hue and cry who had smelt us out, and hoped perhaps to be able to reconnoitre without being perceived on so awful a night. Whenever Elzevir went out foraging, he carried with him that silver-butted pistol which had once been Maskew's, but left behind the old rook-piece. We had plenty of powder and slugs now, having obtained a store of both from Ratsey, and Elzevir had bid me keep the matchlock charged, and use it or not after my own judgment, if any came to the cave, but gave us his counsel that it was better to die fighting than to swing at Dorchester, for that we should most certainly do if taken. We had agreed, moreover, on a password which was "Prosper the Bonadventure," so that I might challenge betimes any that I heard coming, and if they gave not back this countersign, might know it was not Elzevir. So now I reached out for the piece, which lay beside me on the floor, and scrambled to my feet, lifting the decal in the darkness, and feeling with my fingers in the pan to see 'twas full of powder. The lull in the storm still lasted, and I heard the footsteps advancing, though with uncertain slowness, and once, after a heavy stumble, I thought I caught a muttered oath, as if someone had struck his foot against a stone. Then I shouted out clear in the darkness a "Who goes there?" that rang again through the stone roofs. The footsteps stopped. There was no answer. "Who goes there?" I repeated. "Answer, or I fire." "Prosper the Bonadventure," came back out of the darkness, and I knew that I was safe. "The devil take thee for a hot-blooded young bantam to shoot thy best friend with powder and ball that he was fool enough to give thee." And by this time I guessed 'twas Master Ratsey, and recognized his voice. "I would have let thee hear soon enough that 'twas I, if I'd known I was so near thy lair. But 'tis more than a man's life is worth to creep down mole-holes in the dark, and on a night like this. And why I could not get out the gibberish about the Bonadventure sooner was because I matched my shin to break a stone, and lost the wager and my breath together. And when my wind returned, 'twas very like that I was trapped into an oath, which is sad enough for me, who am sexton, and so to say in small orders of the Church of England, as by law established." By the time I put down the gun and coaxed the candle again to light, Ratsey stepped into the cave. He wore a sou'wester and was dripping with wet, but seemed glad to see me and shook me by the hand. He was welcome enough to me also, for he banished the dreadful loneliness, and his coming was a bit out of my old pleasant life that lay so far away, and seemed to bring me once more within reach of some that were dearest. End of chapter 11. Recording by Simon Evers.